All right, we're back from Insanity Fab Winter Challenge 2023. So I'm gonna do a quick little race recap. I'm just gonna wing it, didn't write nothing down, just kind of shoot from the hip. First of all, obviously I want to thank our sponsors that have helped us a bunch. Mallstar Tires, our buddy Martin. You know, it means a lot that he's put faith into us to run their brand of tire and helping us as we grow as a race team, and then putting out a product that works really well and we can put the power to the ground, we can drive hard on them and not have to worry so much about them. So thank you, Mallstar, very much. Yukon Gear and Axle, same boat. I really appreciate how you guys have put faith in us to run your product, allow us to put your stickers on our rig to try to help spread the word that you guys put out a really good product, and we like beating on them. You know, we run a Yukon spool, we run a rear Yukon ring and pinion, a front locker, we run front ring and pinions, we run their shafts, their U-joints, their drive flanges. So we really appreciate those guys helping us out. That's what really makes it a little more affordable for us really low budget teams to be able to go out there and chase this dream of racing Ultra 4. So thank you to Yukon. I want to thank my wife and my kids. They put a ton of work in behind the scenes. When people say, you know, you're a racing family, we are truly a racing family. It goes without saying that the kids race and they're learning what it takes to prep a vehicle to go race. My wife is constantly doing something behind the scenes, or even at the races, she's doing a ton. So thank you to them, because honestly, without them, you know, we have our crew that comes and helps, and I thank them a bunch also. But my poor kids, I go in the house and get them up out of bed, like, come on, we gotta go, prep. I'm trying to teach them all the time that the races are won in the shop, whether it be a drag race or an off-road race. So thank you to both my kids and my wife. Eric, huge thank you to him as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us on this particular journey, but he was there with us, and I told him, if you don't go, we're gonna win. So I wanted to make sure that stuck, so that way I could rub it into him a little bit harder that he wasn't there. But Josh jumped in, Byerly, the Shelton mare. We had a good time. We'll get to the race stuff here in a second. And the rest of the crew that helps out, you know, Anthony and Will and James and Ron and Ezra and Tom and Travis and, you know, and Jeremy and all these guys that have been a part of building this rig and getting it to the point where we can use it. Cliff doing the gears, and there's just so many people involved, and I'm sorry if I missed somebody. Like I said, I didn't write any of this down, but thanks to all those guys too, because without them, you know, it takes all these levels to get there. So we won't draw on or go too far into that, but as far as the race stuff goes, we made it there, and we made it there on time. It was super cool. The snow was, you know, about 3 feet deep in some sections. It was kind of cold. It warmed up a little bit, and then it freezed again at night. So the conditions were ideal, I would say, for a winter challenge. Maybe not for some other people, you know, they like it kind of muddy and really challenging. It was still a challenge because you have to keep your rig together for an hour and you're racing. So when you're racing against other people and the track is fast, I mean, that's a challenge to not hit a tree at, you know, 30 miles an hour. So basically it shakes down like this. We start our first prelim on Thursday, and I believe there was 7 or 8 guys. I'm not 100% sure, but the gearing that this rig has is a 3/8 low range, and it's not the best gearing to leave a starting line on. And I don't have enough motor in there at the moment to really pull hard and high range, and we didn't want to air down a bunch. So a lot of guys were aired down a lot to get through the first couple laps, and we stayed at 20 PSI. We wanted to be able to kind of struggle through the first couple laps, but then we know when you can turn the heat on, we don't have to worry about doing getting a pinch flat and running super low air pressure. It's really hard to push it really hard on any tire and not destroy them. So we stayed at 20. Flag drops, it's just a mess. I mean, we're small tires first out, nobody can really get going, except for Anthony. For some reason, Anthony's rig just works really good on the snow. He also runs Mallstars, and we just let him do all the work. So head into the trees, I think 3rd or 4th position, and catch a couple guys on the first turn, and then end up at the V-crack where Lance is, and Lance is breaking trail. He went around the V-crack. Josh and I went straight through, ended up into a winch fest, and the old 8274 came out on top. Man, that thing pulls hard. We did a pretty long winch pull, got us closer to another tree, did another winch pull, and then we were off. So the first lap was about 29 minutes. We ended up having to break trail all the way through the short course, back out the short course, and then everybody caught up with us right at the last jump where we were actually stuck. So it's kind of crazy. We're backing down the ramp of the jump, and everybody's going by us, and I'm just thinking to myself, don't get hit by these guys going 20 miles an hour. So that's how the race started. And then once we got tracks in the snow, it was time to turn and burn, and we caught back up with the pack again, and we're pretty fortunate enough to get past everybody on the first day, and we finished first. And that was super cool. That the weekend could have ended right there, and I was super happy because we were at the Winter Challenge, and you guys know the record of going to the Winter Challenge and struggling and maybe not getting there and stuff breaking while we're there. So just getting there and finishing an hour-long heat, that felt good. And then we ran out of time on Thursday to do our second heat, so it was bumped to Friday. Same scenario, we go in. Now we have a track built now, and it's a lot faster. So heat one, we ran the entire thing in low range. You can only go about 36 miles an hour on the rev limiter, and that's just not worth beating it that hard. So we just kind of poked around in low and just got through it. And then the second heat came up, and on lap 2, we're coming to the short course. We tried high range, and it worked. So it was really fun at that point, because now you can really start reeling guys in the short course, and anywhere in the sections that you can go fast, we now can use all the first gear, all of second gear. So there was several laps that we'd come through the straights on the short course doing about 50 to 55 miles an hour, and that was super fun. So we battled it out with everybody on the second heat race. I think we finished second on that day. Colton finished first in his 4800 car. And then we hung out, watched all the big tire stuff go down for all their racing, and then we finished. Our final was that same day, later on in the afternoon. So the race starts out, and again, horrible gearing choice for this build. So everybody takes off. We're running out of there, and basically it's tongues hanging out in third gear low range. I mean, everybody's just ripping away from us. We're like, yeah, well, this is the best we can do. So I think we went into the trees. I think second to last, I can't remember if Griffin was in front or behind us, but went into the trees, and there's a couple lines in there we wanted to try. There was one line we hadn't taken all day. We took it. It was way longer than we thought it was, so we obviously weren't going to take that one anymore. Got caught up with Lance and the gentleman in the Toyota Tacoma, and that was a super cool lap. I mean, we were like 6 inches off of Lance's rear bumper, and I know Lance is not going to lift off the throttle, so there's no concerns, but I didn't know the guy in front of him. So I'm chasing Lance, and he's pushing the guy in front of him, and he's pushing him pretty hard. And we head down to the very lowest section of the short course, and there's a checkup that we had actually built there for Chance Holland to slow, because he crashed there to slow people down. Well, Lance never lifted, so I didn't lift. Well, unfortunately, the dude in the Toyota, I think he got caught in a rut on the other side and maybe didn't lift, but almost came to a stop, and we almost landed in the back of Lance's Scout. So we decided to throttle back a little bit. It was still early in the race. We didn't want to blow anything up. So we chased them around for a couple laps, ended up making a pass on those two guys. I don't remember what lap it was. It's so hard to remember what lap you're on there. Then we went in, we ended up catching Anthony Taylor, and we had a super good time with Anthony too. So Anthony is like super consistent. He does the same thing every lap. But if you get behind him and you start hitting a horn, he'll go fast. So we got in behind him, and Josh is on the horn like he is every lap, and Anthony takes off. And I'm like, wow, that Jeep's actually pretty fast. So then we had another race on our hands for another good 2 laps. And then we were fortunate enough to get by him, I think, coming out of the trees into the short course section. And at that point, we were hunting down Colton because I knew he was in the lead. So we end up making 2 or 3 laps. We're gaining about 500 feet to 600 feet a lap on Colton. And with racing, you got to have some luck. So unfortunate luck for Lance, but it worked out great for us. Coming to the tree section, Lance rolls, and Colton actually stopped and tried to help recover him. Well, the time that he had spent there allowed us to close a lot more distance, and I didn't know that at the time until we got around Lance, went through the LK, got through the Figgy Wiggy, and we're going through the Figgy Wiggy, we could see Colton heading out of the upper field into the trees, and then it was like blood in the water. So Josh and I were both like, there he is, it's time to go. And that was the hardest that we pushed the rig the whole time. I think we actually did a 5-minute lap. We were averaging like 6:30 to 7-minute laps, and on those 2 laps we were around like 5 minutes 10 seconds, which who knows if it's fast or not, but it was super fun. And then previously in the race, there was a line over by Dorme's cross up that it was an opportunity to pass, and it didn't look like anybody drove me through there. So one of the laps chasing Lance, we dipped down in there and pulled up right next to Lance, and we're like, okay, that's gonna work, because Colton was boogieing him. He was going super fast, so we knew that we had to bring our A game if we were gonna pass him. So we caught him in the tree section, switched into high range going into the trees because we wanted as much speed as possible. Came up out of the Undertaker over the rock section. We went hard right, and I think that that time they noticed we were going for the pass, so it was literally 2 dudes full throttle. Neither of us wanted to give up. We rode the berm on the high side, slid down in front of them. We got tangled up, and I was almost 90 degrees to him. He's still trying to go. I'm still in high range, and I can't figure out why the rig won't move. Can't see nothing. There's fir branches in our face. There's snow and mud everywhere, and all I hear is his rev limiter and horns are honking. So I opened my eyes and realized I was still in high, bumped it into low, and just went straight basically from reverse to third, and was able to kind of dig around the front of his end, and then was able to take off again. And then we were pushing it super, super, super hard because Colton, he's going to want to go super fast to catch us again. And then unfortunately, he had broke a stub shaft in that position there, and we didn't know. So we're going and pushing, and then come to find out, his race pace had passed off, and passed down a little bit, or slowed down a little bit. So we tailed off too to just try to maintain the position. So when it was all over on the last lap, we kind of slowed down. It was super cool. Everybody's cheering, and it was a good feeling to see the checkered flag. And I wanted to just rip across the finish line, but it was over at that point, and there's no point in hurting it any harder because we're obviously going to King of the Hammers in 3 weeks. So that was the end of our weekend. And there's some other guys that I want to thank in there too, especially the Only family. So CJ and Tina, this isn't something that he does for his friends and his racers that come here. This isn't a moneymaker for him. This race isn't like how he pays his bills, right? He is a passionate four-wheeler who loves off-road racing and loves the sport of competition off-road. He could end this at any point, and we don't have a winter challenge to go to anymore. We don't have a super badass race like this, or a challenge, as it's called. So I just want to tell him personally, thank you, CJ, for all of the stuff that you put up with all the racers, and thank you for continuing to do this so guys like us can come there and have the best time and bring our families and our kids and have a good atmosphere to be around. Because in the end of it, we're all just grassroots dudes, right? We all have a 9-to-5. We all wear hooded sweatshirts. None of us are professional at any of this. And it's a great time to go put your rig to the test. You're not winning King of the Hammers by no means. You're just having braggart rights because you won the Insanity Fab Winter Challenge. And this event that he puts on, it gets other guys to grow their hobby, to grow their sport, to work harder at work, to build their rig better. I'll be honest, I'm a perfect example, right? We went there for our first time on Leaf Springs and 40s, stick shift, had a hell of a good time. And that event, it really pushed what we have now. We would come back, modify it for the next year. And then we modified it a bunch for the third year. Unfortunately, it didn't make it. The rig wouldn't start, but we thrashed. And then the following year after that, we went back with the 305. had a really good time. Then we cut it apart again. We built what's here now. We didn't make it in 2022, but we made it in 2023. And I would have never pushed so hard to build something like this if it wasn't for going to this event at the first time. And to see a bunch of guys from Gig Harbor that have gone over there and now they're getting an Ultra 4, they're building bigger and better rigs. Another good example, Anthony Taylor. You know, he bought a Samurai, first 2 years, didn't even make it a full lap, but he never quit. He bought a bigger rig, stronger rig, and then he bought another bigger, stronger rig. Now he has a Jeep for every season. But it's CJ and Tina's event that have helped these guys, give them a purpose and give them a place to use them. So big, heartfelt thank you to your entire family and things you've done. Thank you, Del Rey Romero and Del Rey's wife, Millery. Thank you very much for allowing the property and everything that we can do there, whether it not only be the Winter Challenge, even in the May races, but thanks for letting CJ hold the Winter Challenge. We super appreciate it. And we're looking forward to the next races and more Winter Challenges. So anyway, I'm just rambling. I'm going to wrap this up, but show you some damage. And I don't know if you can see in here, brand new set of Milestars showed up today. So we're going to get those swapped over here in a couple days. All right, so on Josh's side / Eric's slide, nothing, really. I mean, his stick, look, the Shelton Mayer sticker's even on there. Didn't even get a scratch. It is dirty. Definitely dirty on the inside. We got all kinds of mud to clean out of this thing. But it fared super well. Tranny cooler upgrade was a huge improvement. I mean, it literally does not get warm. And I know it was cold over there, but we were beating on it super hard. And you actually have to turn the fans off of it to maintain. So, like I said, we got a C-clip over there on that side it just popped off. So we're going to put brand new axle shafts in the front, brand new drive flanges, get all that stuff upgraded. We're going to be finally getting to the 1 1/4 link upgrade there. We got to put all new Heim joints everywhere. They are destroyed. And this is Colton's trophy right here. Look at that. Smoked it. God, that was so much fun. The Milestar 40s, these things kick ass. I mean, they hook super good. So I was super happy to run those. And other than a number plate on that side over there that got smoked and a side panel, we're looking good. So we will basically start prepping for hammers as soon as I end this video. We're going to start pulling it apart, getting everything ready, get it on jack stands, and get it ready to go to King of the Hammers. I guess that's it. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching. And we really appreciate everybody's support.